The psychology behind a personal brand. Here is the uncomfortable truth. You already have a personal brand right now, whether you've consciously built one or not. Every email you send, every comment you make in meetings, every project you deliver, it's all contributing to how others perceive you professionally. The question isn't whether you should have a personal brand. The question is, are you going to take control of it or let it happen by accident? Yeah, mention personal branding and watch people's faces change, trepidation. Suddenly, we are talking about something that makes people feel inauthentic, self promotional, even narcissistic. But what if everything we think about, we know personal branding is wrong? Don't think it's wrong. Let's start with the biggest myth. Personal branding is just self promotion for attention seekers. A lot of people think that. This resistance runs deep. We've been conditioned to believe that talking about our strengths, our achievements, or our unique promise of value is somehow inappropriate. It's the psychological phenomenon called tall pony syndrome. We're uncomfortable with anyone standing out, including ourselves. But here's what really is happening in your brain when you resist personal branding. You're experiencing what psychologists call imposter syndrome, mixed with social proof anxiety. You are afraid that if you put yourself out there to the big wide world, people will discover that you're not as competent as you claim to be. Or worse, they'll think you are arrogant. The second myth, if I'm good at my job, that should be enough. Okay, this is called the meritocracy fallacy. We want to believe that good work speaks for itself. But in a world where your boss manages 15 people, where hiring managers see hundreds and hundreds of resume CVs, where clients have countless options, being good enough if no one knows you're good. The truth is, personal branding isn't about creating a fake version of yourself. It's about becoming the most intentional version of yourself. Here's where it gets fascinating, and I'm really fascinated by personal branding. Personal branding taps into fundamental human psychology. Human psychology. First, there is the halo effect. When people perceive you as an expert in one area, they automatically assume you're competent in related areas. This isn't manipulation, it's how our brains work. We make snap judgments based on limited information because we have to today. A clear personal brand gives people the right information to make those judgments. Then there is the reciprocal liking, when you consistently share valuable insights, help solve problems, or contribute meaningfully to conversations. People feel positively towards you. It's not because you are trying to be liked, it's because you're being genuinely useful, genuinely useful. But here is the part most people miss. Personal branding is actually an act of service. When you clearly communicate who you are, what you stand for, and what you bring, you make it easier, a lot easier for the right opportunities to find you. You make it easier for people who need your specific skills to connect with you. The anxiety, frustration around personal branding often stems from a misunderstanding of what authenticity means. We think being authentic means being exactly the same in every context. But that's not authenticity. That is rigidity. True authenticity is about being consistently yourself while adapting your communication to your audience and your purpose. So let's talk about what happens when you don't actively manage your personal brand. Actively manage your personal brand. You become what psychologists call invisible competent, highly skilled, but overlooked. Your ideas get credited to others. Promotions go to people who are more visible, not necessarily more capable. Opportunities pass you by because no one thinks of you. No one thinks of you when they arise. This creates a vicious circle. The less visible you are, the less confident you become about your own value, your true promise of value. The less confident you are, the less likely you are to put yourself forward. It's a psychological trap that keeps many talented people stuck and stagnant. Meanwhile, your colleagues who understand the concept of personal brand and have a personal brand aren't necessarily more skilled than you. They are more strategic about their visibility. They're playing a different game and they are winning, not because they're better at their jobs, but because they are better at communicating their value, their worth. The cost isn't just professional, it's psychological. When your contributions go unrecognized, when your expertise is overlooked, it erodes your sense of professional identity and your self-worth. So how do we reframe personal branding from something that feels inauthentic to something that feels essential? Start by shifting your mindset from self-promotion to value sharing. Instead of how do I make myself look good, ask how can I help others solve problems with my expertise. Personal branding becomes easier when you realize it's not just about you, it's about the people you can serve. Every piece of content you share, every conversation you have, every way you show up professionally is an opportunity to add value to someone else's life or work. The most powerful personal brands are built on three psychological pillars: consistency, authenticity, and value. Consistency means people know what to expect from you. Authenticity means what they see aligns with who you really are. And value means every interaction leaves them better off than before. So here's the paradox. The best personal brands don't feel like brands at all. They feel like relationships with real people who happen to be really good at what they do and generous about sharing their knowledge. Your personal brand is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more intentional about who you already are. It's about taking control of your personal narrative instead of leaving it to chance. The resistance you feel, that's normal. That's perfectly normal. It's your brain trying to protect you from perceived social risks. The bigger risk is remaining invisible in a closet in the world that rewards visibility. You don't become a social media influencer or a thought leader. You just become a more intentional about how you show up, what you share, and how you add value to the people around you. Because here is the truth. In a world of noise, clarity is a competitive advantage. And a strong personal brand is simply clarity about who you are and what you bring to the table. The question isn't whether you have a personal brand. The question is whether you will take ownership of it. So hopefully you've learned something about the psychology attached to personal branding. Thanks for listening today. I'm Martin Buckland. I'm an executive career management practitioner, and I manage and advance the careers of senior executives across the world. Be happy to have a conversation with you.